All right, I'm gonna start the recording. And then I'll like just trim whatever this is, our chit chat. You guys can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start presenting, and then when I do the, let's see, live on Facebook.
Is there something we can share to like tell people we're live?
Oh, someone's in our waiting room. Raquel.
Hello, Rachel.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh, Raquel.
Let's see. We're gonna go ahead and put that on here. And
and I hope you're not messing.
Also, that's feel free to mute yourself if you're gonna be like moving and stuff, but I'm not gonna mute you, so just be mindful of that.
I always accidentally do that.
And if we do get like question or something submitted, I'll like pause and say, oh, we have a question through the chat box, and try to address that. So let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and find it. Okay, I'm on there. Well, I should probably move the dialogue thing right over here. I'm always really good at this. Okay. All right, friends, we are gonna go live, and I need to make sure I can share my screen. I always struggle with this. It's like my first time doing something. Okay. Sweet. All right. Yay, did it. Okay. Well, welcome back to the Ask series, where we ask alumni to share their experiences and knowledge with incoming students, or really anyone that's interested in learning more about what it's like not only to be a college student, but what to expect. So we're very fortunate to have two new faces with us today, and we'll briefly give you a background and get started. Courtney Olsula graduated from Putnam County High School in 2014 and graduated from IVCC in 2018. She then transferred to Illinois State University, where she majored in graphic design. Courtney is a freelance artist and a graphic designer at Illinois State University and at West Clock Studios in Mendota as an assistant mural painter. Courtney started at IVCC as a confused and just no idea lost high school student, and neither parents, grandparents, siblings, or cousins attended any type of higher education institution. Her cousin eventually enrolled in a trade program, but based on her observation, that's not really what she envisioned for herself. She felt exhausted and worked many options at IVCC until it finally clicked. And then everything kind of fell clear. So nothing could stop her then, is what she shared. And truth be told, she never really wanted to transfer to a four-year university, but based on the background, she ended up going to ISU and spent 4 years with us at IVCC to go ahead and obtain her graphic design degree. So welcome, Courtney.
Hello. Everything sound okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for asking me to join you today.
We're excited to have you here. Liza Berg just graduated from IVCC this May with 2 degrees, an Associate of Arts and an Associate of Science. She will be transferring to Northern Illinois University in the fall to continue work on her undergraduate degree in communicative disorders. Liza graduated from Ottawa High School in 2018 and originally went off to a four-year university. For a long time, she struggled with mental health issues and generally just never feeling good enough. While she was away at school, the pressure she put on herself became too high to the point where she withdrew from the university on medical leave. She was devastated, confused, and angry. IVCC welcomed her with open arms despite the fact that she felt like a failure. When Liza started as a full-time student at IVCC in January 2019, she never looked back. IVCC became the driving factor in changing her life, and she's never felt so confident in her abilities since she came to IVCC. From Liza, in a lot of ways, IVCC saved my life, and if I could receive my entire bachelor's degree from there, I would. It's a wonderful place to be, and we love having you. We loved having you at IVCC, and thank you so much for coming back and talking to us about your experiences.
Yes, thank you for having me tonight.
Yay! Okay, so this is super exciting. This is our third topic of our entire series. And so we just want to make anywhere that's joining us or watching us live that we have some other topics that we'll be talking about. Tonight is how to figure out what to major in. So deciding on a major. So again, every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m., we'll be covering different topics. And as you can see, that's kind of our schedule that we have going on. And then I'll go ahead, of course, introduce myself. My name is Ezra Loveland, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Admissions, Records, and Transfer Services.
Sorry about that. Hi everyone, my name is Grayson Quessy, and as a student recruitment specialist at IVCC, my job is to encourage prospective students to explore all of the educational and career options that we have for them on our campus. So whether you're attending college for the very first time or coming back to finish what you'd started, we're happy to have you. We're happy to be here to assist you in meeting your educational and career goals. And we'd also like to take this time to remind you that as your local community college, it's part of our mission to serve as an educational and career resource for the residents of our district as a whole, whether or not they're current IVCC students. Once again, welcome Courtney and Liza. We're happy to have you here with us today.
Be here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we always like to start off with this one question, just to kind of really break the ice and get the conversation going. Why did you choose IVCC?
So did you want to go me first right now, or do you want to like kind of volunteer who goes first every time? Oh, I'm muted, aren't I? I'm not. I'm sorry. I can go first though, is what I meant. Okay. So you heard my bio a little bit, but Putnam County, very small, very small town, and IVCC is very close. I went on a field trips in high school for the art department to see what they were doing. I've known about IVCC. It seemed like a really just cheap place to go, and I had about 3 scholarships in high school that were tiny scholarships, but at IVCC, they gave me a full year for free because of them. So the cost was huge too. And that's why.
Definitely.
So like you heard, I originally went to a 4-year university after graduating high school. Both my parents and my brothers all went to college. So it's just kind of like normal in my family, like just what's expected. And I really like school anyway, so I knew I wanted to go to college. But I didn't think I'd ever end up at community college. But after going to a 4-year and just kind of being like thrown into like not only college level like work, but then like living somewhere new and all of that. And when I came home, I was like, well, now what do I do? Because I still wanted to get that degree. And IVCC was there and they were like, yeah, like come check us out. So I did. And then I really never looked back from then.
That's awesome. I just always love hearing the stories of how people chose their colleges and the journeys, because they're always different. So today we're talking about choosing our major, and it's certainly not the easiest task in the world. I know I changed majors several times, and I ended up being sociology major and then went on to education. So in a perfect ideal world, like, you know, you want your major to reflect all your interests and your values and your passions and abilities. And clearly this is not a perfect, nor is it an ideal world. But so how did you identify kind of which of those characteristics in your life were the most important to you and the most influential? And how did they shape the educational path that you ultimately chose?
Liza, I think you should go first this time to mix it up.
Okay. So basically, like my whole life, I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. I think part of that is because I really liked school, and I would come home from school and then play school like in my basement with like a whiteboard and everything. So I was just like, I'm gonna be a teacher. But then, you know, I got older and like I was like, I don't know if I really like school that much. But I always liked working with kids. So I think my background in babysitting and teaching swim lessons and let's see, I did like safety town, like that kind of stuff, really like influenced that like whatever I do, I want to be able to help kids. So I think that's really what pushed me towards communicative disorders, because I can still work with kids if I want to, but I also can work with other ages, which I like that flexibility.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I think a lot of people start off wanting to be teachers just because teachers are just like everything to kids. They are their moms, their babysitters, their guidances. Like I wanted to be a teacher and I could never probably do it. So I understand where you come from when you are talking about your teaching goals. For me, I never really thought about college as a way to get a job because no one in my family had a college degree, but they had jobs. So I kind of just liked art growing up. I just like to do stuff and have fun and pretend like you. Same thing, but different tools. I like to pretend with some crayons and markers, I guess. And I would say my second year at IVCC, I was kind of where you were when you first started. I was like, I can't do this. This is not for me. But then I was like, actually, maybe I'm just not talking to the right people. So for me, when I chose my major, I actually changed it 4 times before I settled. But I just kept going back to counselors every time I had a new idea and just talked it out with them. And eventually it clicked. So that's how I chose my major.
That's great. I just love how, you know, I think sometimes students feel as if they need to just be born with that decision, but that's not the case. So thank you for sharing. I think selecting a major kind of feels like you're about to buy a car or like make a huge decision in your life, right? So you guys kind of touched on this, but how did you decide on a major, and what research did you end up doing to really solidify that decision?
So, like I said, I wanted to be a teacher, and I was pretty like stuck on that for like a really long time. And then I switched to journalism because I liked writing, and then I switched to this and that, and really it's been a roller coaster of trying to figure it out. And if I'm being quite honest, I don't even know if my current declared major, communicative disorders, is like the right thing. But at this point, I was just like, okay, you just got to go with it because you just need to get through undergrad. And who knows, maybe in the fall I'll switch again. I don't know. Anyway, I think the biggest influence for me is coming to IVCC because I met a lot of people there, made a lot of connections with people. Like I talked to my counselor all the time. I came and talked to Ezrat and Graceland all the time. I talked to my professors. Like really the most advice I could give anyone who's like unsure right now is to go talk to people. And like, if you are like, oh, what is speech pathology? Like go find a speech pathologist and like ask them about it. If you want to like see what teaching is like, go do your observation hours, because I did my observation hours and then I was like, 30 kids at once? I don't know about that. So I would say go talk to professionals in your field, job shadow, ask questions. And the biggest thing for me was I was always, speech path was always in the back of my mind as something to pursue, but I didn't think I was smart enough or good enough to like take the harder science and math classes that you need. And so my biggest advice would be, don't let that fear of not being good enough or being too hard stop you, because it might just be like one class, like one hard math class that you have to get through, and then you're done, and then you get to go do the stuff you actually enjoy.
That's so awesome you said that, because I felt like I was listening to a younger version of myself talking. It's funny because I failed my first math class at IVCC. I tested into the pre-algebra, not the college level math. No, not the college level math, but the pre-algebra for the kids who like don't care about math like me. And I failed it because I didn't care. And the teacher was really nice, and she was like, well, next time maybe do better. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I tried hard the second time, and I think that kind of leads me into my major, because like you said, you can feel like you're not worth it sometimes. And that's what artists do. Like every artist, no matter what, they always don't think they're good enough because there is somebody always better. That's not the case. And the person who taught me that is Francie Skoflank and Karen Zielman, who teach and taught at IVCC. Francie has retired, but Karen is still there, and Karen is the best person to talk to if you have any art questions. So that's my advice for sure.
That's good advice. Definitely, and from Liza to job shadow, ask questions and everything, and from Courtney to talk to the actual instructors and ask them, what's it about, and get to know them, and you can ask them about the curriculum and all that stuff. So the next question is, in choosing your major, another thing to consider, that keep in mind, although technology makes almost any field accessible to scholars everywhere, there are some fields and some careers that may require a little bit more planning and thinking about in the future. Just one example is that when we visit high schools, Azra and I typically ask the students, what do you want to study? And I know I've heard in the past the answer marine biology from a student who then proceeded to tell me that their dream schools were, all of which I figured out were actually in landlocked states. And you got to think there's probably not that many top marine biology program in a landlocked state. So there's things like that that you want to consider, and also thinking about your major and where you want to live in the future and where you want to go to school.
Thank you, Gracelyn. So that's the next question. Did your major drive your decision of where to go? And tell us more about that.
Can I go first? Because I have a weird story. I mean, it's not a story, but it's a weird reason. So it did not. My major did not drive my decision, because when I was first in the program, I thought that the best colleges were in Chicago. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Chicago. Until Francie Skoflank told me, I went to ISU and they're pretty awesome there. I was like, well, Francie Skoflank went to ISU. What does ISU have to offer me? And same process, basically just talking to counselors until I decided that ISU was where I wanted to be.
Yeah, so I'd have to agree with that. I don't think my major really it definitely didn't influence me coming to IVCC, and then it doesn't really influence me going to Northern next year. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you create your own opportunities, and what you put in, you'll get out. So I really think that like a lot of schools out there have a lot to offer. So for me, NIU, I chose it because I heard good things about the program. I talked with people from the program, and then like it was close to home, which is something important to me. And most of the people I talked to at IV, the counselors, they all were like, yeah, I heard good things about the program. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go for it then. So yeah.
I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but ultimately, like, do you remember that aha moment where you made the final decision, or for Liza, made the decision what you want to pursue in your transfer to NIU? What like kind of finally locked it in for you?
So it was actually like this last spring semester before we went to like online learning. I'd already spent a lot of time in the peer tutoring center for math, and it was just a great group of students to be surrounded by, and a really positive like environment to be in. And really, like the one thing that was stopping me from speech pathology was the math class, and then I needed like some more human anatomy. But being surrounded by those other students that were just like, no, you can do it. You're smart enough. You clearly work hard, and just having those peers like telling me that no, you can do this was kind of like, okay, you're right. Like I'm here doing it. I can do this. So it was kind of in early January, February, just after being around such like a positive community. And that's not just in the peer tutoring center. That was everywhere on IVCC's campus for me. Everyone was just like, you can do this, like, and we're gonna help you get there. Like I remember going into professors' offices, specifically my math professor, because math, it's just really not my thing. And he was like, Liza, you have all the tools. You have all the tools and you have the work ethic. Like you can do whatever you want. And I was just like, you know what? Maybe I can. So everyone at IVCC was just like, you can do it. And then I was like, I can. And that's what really made me like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a leap of faith and do this.
I love that so much. I love the leap of faith moment because that's what it really is. You aren't guaranteed anything, you know. But similar thing, I think I had this idea in my head that I was alone to do this on my own, and I had to figure it out every step of the way. The aha moment for me came when I talked to somebody else in my program who was she was older than me by a little bit, and she also was a return student, so she dropped out or graduated IVCC and came back. I'm sorry, I got that detail wrong. And she told me that she didn't want a bachelor's degree and she was just going to try to do it without one. And I was like, yeah, let's do it together. And then her last semester, she was like, actually, I kind of want a bachelor's degree. And I was like, oh. But then that opened another door into another person to talk to. And I just kept talking to as many people as possible until I realized I was doing it. There wasn't really a moment. It was just kind of a lot of little moments, you know. It was pretty cool though to see happen.
So as I'm reading my question, I'm thinking you guys are answering it already. So you kind of mentioned a timeline and a couple of moments, but could you actually think of, you know, was it your sophomore year at IVCC?
Oh, yeah. No, it was my like junior, senior. I think like the girl was ahead of me by like a semester. So she graduated a semester before me, I believe. And so I was like junior, technically junior because I was my third year at IVCC spring semester. So about a semester before my senior year is when I decided to open my eyes up to the possibility of transferring instead of just staying where I was. And yeah, that was the moment.
How about you, Liza? Do you remember like that specific timeline or year?
Yeah. So I remember in the fall of my sophomore year at IV, I went to my counselor and I was like, I'm an education major. It's done. Like, that's what I'm declaring. And then I'm going along. I keep taking these education classes. And I'm like, yeah, nothing's doing it for me. And then we start second semester, and I had gotten an A in my math class the semester before, which, you know, math is really that big. I think it's a big stopper for a lot of people and a big challenge for a lot of people. So I got that A and I was like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I go into spring semester and it was January. I think it was the week before the pandemic. And I went to NIU with some friends to help them look at the engineering program. I was just there because I wanted to like look at campus, and just like the energy and just like how there was this random girl I didn't even know on the tour with me. And I was talking to my friends and she like chimed in and she was like, you know what? Like, don't let the math stop you. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. So kind of that just like, I guess I just fell into like always being in the right spot at the right time with people that were there to like hype me up right when I needed it. And I mean, like, it was like that day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. And so yeah, my sophomore year.
That's really cool. I love that you guys can remember like either that moment, that feeling. I actually am giggling thinking about it, and I don't know if my mom is watching this because I did tell her about it, but I remember feeling so confident about my decision and majoring in like education. And then when I had gone to Eastern Illinois for my counseling appointment, I had talked to my counselor, which was like the chair of the department. So I was like, oh my gosh, this person knows everything. Like they're going to tell me my destiny. And he encouraged me to major in sociology, so that then I would be able to teach it. So I wasn't necessarily going to be an education major. I tell you, that maybe 10 minutes later, I was like, just, as you would with an authoritative figure. And 10 minutes later, like I mentioned, I'm in the alley in Charleston and crying because I just was told to change everything that I thought I knew because that's what they suggested. And it's just like, ugh. So with that really sad sob story, did you second guess yourself once you did make that decision? And I guess, how did you handle that feeling?
Feel that way. So it's a lot less now because you're right, it does hurt your feelings. But if someone tells you no, don't say okay, say why. Like get to the bottom of it. I think it's a negotiation more than it is a do this, do that, do this. Because I changed my major from art to film because I love film too. And then I went back to art, and then I realized I could take film classes at ISU for credit as a graphic designer. So obviously just because you pick a major, it doesn't mean you have to be landlocked into a field. You can explore a lot of different options within your major. There's so many specific things you have no idea exist, basically, unless you talk to somebody.
Yeah, I really like that you said once you pick a major, you're not like landlocked into that, because I struggled with that for a really long time because I really like to do everything. I like to try everything. I like to, I just want to be in everything and I want to help everyone and save the world, but I can't do that. So every time I'd switch my major, it was usually crying and then ice cream. And then usually I'd go visit Graceland or Ezra, and I'd be like, I'm a mess. How do I do this? So yeah, that's how I always dealt with it. And I mean, we're here now. Like I said earlier, I still don't really know if this is the right path, but I do know what I've learned from IVCC and the professors and the people I've talked to is that just because you pick this major doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. This is not the end of your life. This is not like, I think Graceland had this conversation with me one time. She was like, this isn't where you're going to be forever. You still get to choose what you do with this. And like, I was talking to her the other day and she was telling me about one of her friends that doesn't even work in the field that he got his degree in. So like, yes, at some point you're going to have to declare that major, but it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm an education major, so all I'm ever going to do is be a teacher. Because the more you put yourself out there and like talk to people, meet people and make connections, the more things you'll be able to do. And it's really like, it took me a long time to learn that just because this is my major doesn't mean I'm stuck there forever. And I think that's what gives me comfort in knowing like, okay, I declared this, but the opportunities are endless.
That's very well said. And I wish we could have, we do have a recording, so we'll make sure to use it in our future marketing. So we want to talk about more like how, in talking about majors and stuff and all the things that you can explore and study, as students transfer onto a four-year institution, they might have the option, like, you know, people might have heard about double majoring or picking up a minor in something. Can you touch on what this actually means in student terms? And how did you ever consider declaring a major or minor, declare a double major or think of picking up a minor?
If you don't mind, I'd like to go first because I know a lot of people who do both. So I honestly looked into getting a minor or a double major, but then I realized you could take classes for credit that didn't relate to your major. So that's why I didn't do it, because I could, if I wanted to learn like glass blowing, I could take a glass blowing class. I didn't have to minor in it. I didn't have a passion for it or anything, so I didn't really need to. I have a lot of friends who do though, because they love to combine stuff. Like, I want to be a painter and a graphic designer, so I can combine the two. So it's an option for people who want to. I don't think it's necessary unless your major or your program tells you though. But it's really cool to like have the option, definitely, for sure. Didn't really explain what that was, did I? Was that okay?
So I actually, at Northern, the communicative disorders major, it's required that you get a minor. So I will be eventually picking out a minor. But before I even like declared this major, I always in the back of my head thought maybe like a Spanish minor would be something I'd be interested in, just because of how much like the world is changing and becoming more like global, and you know, you make yourself a lot more marketable if you're bilingual. Not that I'm anywhere close to being bilingual with Spanish, but I've always just like had it in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, a minor, that would be kind of cool to pick up. I never thought about double majoring though.
That's great. Those are great answers. And just to cover also kind of what a major is and what minors are and all that stuff. A major is kind of what you focus on mainly for your program or your degree. You know, we've mentioned sociology, education, physics, astronomy, music history. So this is kind of what you're going to school for. Along the way, you might be able to pick up a minor, which is a collection of fewer classes that are in a different focus, and it can be related. Say you're a physics major and you want to minor in astrophysics, or they can be completely different. Some people will look at this in terms of whether or not there's class overlap, or if it's just something that they're interested in. So I know I majored in sociology, and my minors were urban and regional studies and human complex systems. So all a little bit interrelated, but in different fields. So those are things that you can consider if you are thinking that you're passionate about different subjects, that you can still go into different fields. And back to you guys, after having gone through the process and with the knowledge that you have right now, what would you tell your high school self when it comes to declaring a major?
If I could go back and tell my high school self anything, I would tell her to take a deep breath. And I would tell her it's okay that you don't have it figured out, because I know for me, when I was a senior, I don't know if it's because I had older siblings that were like already off doing their thing, and you know, I kind of always compared myself to them. I don't know if that's what it was or just in general.
Yes.
But I felt like my senior year, you know, the big question was, oh, where are you going to school and what are you doing with your life? And I was always like, I have no idea. I'm 18. Like, I don't know. So I wish if I could go back, I would tell myself, just take a deep breath. It's okay. You're about to hop on a train in an adventure that is going to teach you so much about yourself, more than, in my opinion, than high school or grade school ever taught me. And you'll figure it out as you go. And I would also, for me, like, fear was a big thing. Fear of failure was a big thing. I would tell myself to fight back with that, because if I could, I would tell myself, take that hard math class. just go take it and see. Take the anatomy class. If you're vaguely interested in something, now's the time to like go try it out. And I wish that when I was 18 coming out of high school, I had more of an open mind like that. But I think I was so focused on the pressure of like everyone being like, what are you doing? That I felt like I had to come up with some answer. Like, you don't have to come up with an answer yet. You have so much time. You have so much time. So just take a deep breath and you will figure it out.
I feel like me and you, Liza, have a opposite but similar story because of your path, but your home and my home, they're different. My advice is don't care what you say if they ask you, because you can always change it. And if you don't like it, give it a chance, because you don't want to give up too fast either. You can change it, but make sure you really want to change it before you change it. I would say to my high school self to calm down and also to slow down, because there's no rush. You might think so because you're 18 and your life feels like it's over, but it's not over. It's just getting started. My life is getting started at age 24. Your life can start at age whatever you want. So don't care about what your counselors tell you when they say no. Don't think that they're bullying you. They just want to talk to you about why. So don't be afraid to stick up for yourself, and don't be afraid to make a mistake if you choose the wrong major, because it's one person has to type something on a paper. That's all. You don't have to do anything else. Just tell your counselor, nah, that's not for me, and they will erase your name. Just take a deep breath. You'll figure it out as you go. Just keep an open mind. You're young, you're open, your mind is perfect for school. You need to take every opportunity that you see fit, because that's my regret in IVCC was I was not involved. I just went to class and had a grumpy face the whole time, basically, until I was about 22. And then I was like, yeah, no, we're cool. We can do this. So keep your mind open and be happy when new things come. That's my best advice, honestly. Just chill, you know?
Yeah, I really like that you said there's no timeline. That's something I still struggle with that sometimes.
Same.
In high school, it's like, oh, you graduate in 4 years, you're going to graduate in 4 years. We need to just throw that stigma out the window, because everyone's path is different. And
yes.
So that's something I really wish I could have told myself.
Yeah, because high school has to get you out in 4 years. It's kind of the law, isn't it? You can come and go as you please, though, in college. They don't care. You're giving them money. Take your time. If you want to take a gap year, make sure you come back if you want to. But, if you need to. Like, my roommate took a gap year, and she's, like, getting all A's right now. So you can succeed by your own terms, for sure.
Oh, I love it. I appreciate you guys being just honest, and it's true. That's the beauty of the community college, is that we see all walks of life. I mean, if you just decide you're, not really feeling the job that you're in and you want to change your career, that is what the community college is there for. So I appreciate you guys again being honest and not letting really as a social norm define what your end goal is. So a couple of things that Gracelyn and I come across is students that just have no idea what they want to do and very undecided, confused about what it means to declare a major. So a lot of the times we really try to educate them, letting them know that, the whole idea of the first 2 years of college is trying to, figure out what you want to do, and also complete your general education courses. And what we mean by that is there's different categories, and under those categories is saying that you're fulfilling, like, you're taking your English 1, 2, and a speech, and then you're taking a math course, and you're taking this. So it almost feels like a repeat, I guess, high school in a year or two. So again, with my question and trying to help them understand, like, it's okay to not know right away. That's why you're taking those general education courses. Any advice on the confusion or undecided student?
Everyone is confused, no matter what, even if you're decided, because there's a lot to be confused about in college, especially from someone who's never had any experience with it, mind you. But if you feel confused, say something, because you're not going to help yourself. You're going to get even more confused until somebody who knows what they're talking about can help you. So just be nice and ask questions. That's how I got this far, I guess.
Yeah, so I honestly think that when I like declared education the first time, I still was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea if this is right. But basically what Courtney said, like, just ask questions, like, and I really like that Ezra said that your first 2 years are gen eds, and that's one reason I think I really thrived at IVCC, because I just had to focus on my gen eds, because I went to a 4-year and I was like, can I just take some gen eds? And they threw me right into like education classes, and I was like, no. So that's what I really liked about IV, is because it's like broken down and it's like simpler, and you focus on your gen eds, and then from there you're able to see, okay, I really like writing, so I'm going to go this way, or I really like math, so I'm going to go this way. And I really think that helped me navigate which way to go and which way to choose, because there wasn't as much pressure to like be in this major and that kind of thing. So if you're really confused, I highly recommend IVCC. That, not even as like an ad or anything, like that's just me as a person that's gone through it. Like, I highly recommend it, because I was really confused when I showed up at IVCC's door and they were like, hey, welcome, that's what we like, let us help you. And they totally did, and I can't ever thank them enough. So
Agreed. You know, it's funny because I had to I had to put a portfolio together before I could even get into my program at ISU. And because of IVCC, I had enough artwork that I was able to skip some classes that I would have had to take if I were a freshman. So I got my actual ISU education starting at IVCC, because I was able to bring what I learned from IVCC, bring it to ISU, and then graduate and make everybody feel happy. So I think you really hit the nail on the head with that one, Liza.
Oh, this has been so much fun to connect with you guys and hear your stories. And we cannot thank you enough, Liza and Courtney, for just telling us about your journey and just being honest, because that's what really makes it. So we wanted to share with anyone that's listening, watching, that they can contact us, via email is kind of the easiest. So what we tell or what we've gathered sometimes is like, we prefer texting or emailing, and the phone, it can be our second choice. So that's totally okay. You can contact us, and that's our information up there. And we thank you again so much. And I'm going to turn it over to Gracelyn. Uh-oh, Gracelyn is muted, but we're going to change.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I was saying, I was excited, and we wrote some quotes down from you guys, so thank you for these. You can succeed on your own terms. There's no timeline, and there's no stigma. These are perfect. So please join us next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. again to discuss transfer planning. Remember, our slogan is "No place so close can take you so far." You can start your bachelor's degree at IVCC or undergraduate career and transfer on to a 4-year college or university to complete your bachelor's. So next week, we'll be talking about what you can do to prepare for a seamless and successful transfer process.